So that one went a bit left, Sam. Okay, so P1's good, P2, a bit more open, P3, make sure there's a bit more cup in the wrist, P4, get it nice and parallel, full shoulder turn, P5, left arm parallel, make sure you're pointing that down to the target line, P6, get that back here, it's starting to square up but it's slightly open still, it's going to help us square that face, hit it nice and straight, then your P7, there you go, nice impact, leading onto the left side, that's awesome, and then finishing nice P10, off you go. Sam, you didn't do it, did you? Let's just go back again. Let's just go back through to that. Which P did you get right?
All of them.
It's an absolute minefield, to be honest. So Sam there, like many of us, was trying to then think of so many things in one go, but actually all the information was coming from me. So he was being told how to move, which is not in the slightest relatable. That's how maybe I might perceive it, but not Sam. So Sam was there trying to make some adjustment and got a very different golf shot with so much noise in the system. How could we possibly expect to be able to understand what we've done, develop a feel for this and be able to regulate it? So when we see a ball fly, do we actually feel that swing that creates that ball fly? So Sam, how can we troubleshoot our own golf swing to start to create some kind of feedback loops?
Yeah, so the feedback loops, the ultimate one is really the ball flight. So we can start to recognise what is our ball flight doing and start to identify the patterns that we see going on.
So you might be picking a target and just aiming at a target, but how many times would you hit a ball straight at that target? And do you actually recognise if the ball's fading or drawing, or is it going straight? Because often it is drawing or fading a bit, but because it finishes fairly close to the target, we just consider it straight. That might be where things are starting to fall apart, because at what point does that fade or draw have to be great enough for you to recognise it as a draw or fade? Are you seeing it at this very kind of fine level, which then allows you to amplify your awareness, to develop some kind of sense for that flight and start to create more shape with a golf ball?
A good starting point is actually finding out, exploring, can you start the ball right and left intentionally as well? And do you recognise the movement still allow that to happen with it? So that's a great starting point just for you guys to find a bit more about yourselves as well. Are you comfortable starting the ball left of your target line and to the right of it as well?
So on a very basic level, can you start a ball left? Perfect. So we're not looking at curvature at this point, we're just looking at start line. And can we start a ball right? Awesome. It's got a natural toe draw, so everyone wants. Let's go for a shorter swing and let's play another ball to the right. So we're going to start this ball right, but now we're going to hold the finish and just get a sense for where that swing takes us. Perfect. Just looking at the finish. So what do you notice about your finish there, Sam?
I can feel my form to my movement. I'm facing generally in the direction and swinging where I tend to start that ball out to the right. So that was kind of noticeable for me, and also the club was kind of finishing out into that space where I was picturing the ball to start. So that's something that stuck out to me.
So what's it like now in comparison to start a ball left, Sam? So holding the finish after the shot. So what do you notice now in relation to the draw? What does this feel like to you?
Well, certainly my end point, where I finished, I'm finishing more to the left. Quite different spatially, and actually where I'm looking as well is actually quite far apart from the two shots.
So without the golf ball now, can you replicate the shot to the right? So start line to the right. So we can notice, it's visibly noticeable here. And then without stopping, straight from there, back and through to the start line left. So it's a really different finish. So where would you lead on from this now, Sam? So we can feel the finish. What about the rest of the movement? How can we start to identify with the journey of the club, if you like, and how we're moving to create that journey?
What we can do, we can reverse engineer this, so we can actually work back from the finish. So we're kind of working back from where we intend to end up, just to really get a sense of spatially where the club is travelling through, but most ease really, path of least resistance to allow me to get to that place. So for me, it's really sensing the arc of the club head and the space the club head is travelling through, for this type of shot. So when I do make the swings back and through, for me it's club head and space.
So to troubleshoot, first port of call is to recognise your own movement, and does that relate to the golf shot? So we're only talking about start line. Sam's recognising where the finish is, and remember, we're only developing awareness around where our attention is focused. So if the attention is somewhere else, we're probably not recognising much else about the movement. Because we've got to be able to troubleshoot. So if Sam's trying to swing and start the ball to the right, and he's feeling this kind of swing to the left, there's a bit of a mismatch. So now there's a disconnect between his intention of the golf shot and intention behind his movement. So as you're doing that swing, Sam, how could you make that even easier to facilitate that arc? So you can feel the body movement. How can you orientate yourself to make that easier?
I can start to actually move around as well. So I can explore moving around with my alignments as well, just to facilitate the ease to the swing direction for me. Just by really moving around, exploring my alignment, I'm really finding the most kind of optimal place for me to allow the club to swing through the space for that intention of the shot, starting it left.
So he's swinging the club with his hands and he's moving his feet around to help make this even easier. So straight away he's starting to incorporate awareness here throughout the whole body.
I think it's a good way to differentiate by actually starting in that position where I'm swinging left, and then actually as I'm swinging back and through, I can actually start to move around as I'm swinging, just to really start to sense this arc, this change of swing direction, and also behind that the finish to go as well.
Perfect. So essentially what Sam's done there is troubleshoot his own alignment through self-discovery. So through reacting to ball flight, but interpreting it in the right way, and then starting to reorganise to create that intention of starting the ball right. The golf swing's a habit, and if you tend to start the ball left and slice it, and you're thinking, where do I start to actually make some kind of positive change or correct this slice, if you like, in old money, we need to start the ball right. The first thing we've got to do to draw the ball is we've got to be able to start the ball right. And this is where the troubleshooting starts. Can we start the ball right? And what do we recognise in our movement to do that? And now we can commit. So Sam's already talking about how he will reorientate what he's doing to start the ball right. Starting the ball right now, that's quite counterintuitive now for someone who fades or slices it, because you're now starting the ball off in the direction of the danger that the ball's going to be moving towards. So how can we now start to kind of explore the curvature?
So yeah, we know what's going to create the curvature is having that path out to the right. So it's really, for me, just making sure that we're letting this golf club release and swing out to the right as well. The critical features, face and path, we've got to have a face that is closed to the path to ensure we've got that separation to see that ball curving back from right to left. If you're swinging to the left often, you're going to be quite familiar with the club head actually travelling in this direction, so anything to the right of that is going to feel a bit strange. So actually making some swings, one or two-handed, actually feeling the club swinging to the right of the target, because we know that is a requirement to start to see that curve. He's going to really start to let you, like I experienced moving round, he's really starting to explore this space with a bit more ease and with a bit more intention in my movement here, aligned to actually what I'm trying to do as well. So that's important, making sure that my movement is aligned to what my intention is also.
So the components that we can recognise that are going to close this club face, the planes of motion that we can use to close that face, exactly. We've got a rotation this way, we've got rotation that way, and we've got rotation this way. So we can start to explore the forearms and the wrists, because essentially the club is only moving in response to what the forearms and the wrists and the hands are doing, and the shoulders. It's all interlinked, but essentially it's forearms and wrists here. Are we able to recognise how it feels to close this face? Because we can feel like we're closing the face, but we can just be employing the same old mechanism we've always used, and it's maybe not extreme enough to close it the amount we need to that path, so we don't actually get the gap. We're swinging out to the right, but we're really struggling to get that draw because the mechanisms we're using, the rotations of the club, aren't allowing us the magnitude that we need to separate the face and path, to see that curve. So what does it feel like to actually rotate the face this way? So just be mindful, post impact maybe, so swinging through, if you've got a face that's closing through impact, what's that going to look like after impact? It's probably going to be something like this. So are we recognising the journey of this golf club, or are we just thinking about a particular part, a swing event, a P position, or are we sensing not 10 positions, not 10 Ps in a golf swing, there's millions of them, okay? and they're all connected to each other. So what does it feel like to stop this golf swing at any moment in time and recognise this is a draw swing? So you could start here, you could stop there, you could stop here, you could stop there, you could stop here, and you'd recognise straight away that would have drawn the ball. What Sam's done there from the off is the baseline for self-recognition, to actually tune ourselves to start the troubleshooting process. Otherwise, how do we know what to troubleshoot if we don't recognise what we're doing? So utilising all this in relation to troubleshooting on the range, Sam, what kind of exercise could we do just to start to explore?
So yeah, like we've kind of touched on there, really just sensitising yourself to the club face as well. It's going to require a different orientation depending on what shot we intend to play. So for me, something that's really helpful is really to kind of feel that place, that position, and swing back and through to that place a few times. So just start to recognise not just where the club's space it's swinging through, but the journey it's taking to get to that place as well. So we can start to recognise the whole motion behind this as well.
What we can do, just rotate the face. So now what's this going to do to a golf shot? So just play the shot from there, Sam. So this is what you could do. You close the face and now play that shot out to the right. And we've got a ball that's starting right and drawing. So now we can close the face more. So it's a very strong closed face, but what we're going to do now is start to play around with the arc and explore the arc, and now we're starting to attune ourselves to some face and path, because it's a very closed face, so this requires a swing direction to the right and a real path to the right. So we'll have a swing from there, Sam, and we've got a very low hook. Okay, notice Sam's only swinging like half, three-quarter, and it's kind of like 50% tempo. We're still hitting a golf ball and there's intent there and there's acceleration, but it's at a recognisable level. So there, face wasn't as strong, ball still started right, so the gap between the face and path wasn't as great, so Sam just got a nice little draw, as opposed to the one before was a bit more extreme with a more closed face. So just getting the setup to the ball, where would you go for your fade, Sam, post impact?
So post impact, that would be
over that's it. So it's a different orientation here, much different relationship here with the face to the body, and how the body's orientated itself to the target and the ball. It's opposite really. So from there now, starting to fade the ball. So we're going, that's it, go back to that place. And it's a big fade. But we got the fade. So now we can start to play around with the amount of shape purely by using our awareness here. So we got the ball starting left, that was the intention. A little bit of fade. Path was 6.4 to the left. Spin axis 2.1 to the right. So we've got a fade. It may not have been the perfect fade that we intended, but it shifted the needle in the direction we wanted. So that's positive practice. This is starting to learn in a productive way. These are memories we're creating here that we're going to be calling upon in game time.
Someone open the face a little bit, just to get a sense for how that face is feeling with the path working to the left. And we'll start from just post impact.
And that's perfect. What shot? So by process of elimination, which is essentially what troubleshooting is, we get to the place we want to be. And we never started at setup, we never talked about backswing explicitly, there were no positions, it was all about feel. It was about recognising where you are in space and how that relates to an outcome.
Using those critical variables, face and path, so just objective feedback all the time, and just letting yourself explore your movements. And each swing you're getting feedback for your next one as well, so then it's a really refined process that's going to develop skill faster, and ultimately you can take that to the golf course then and use your ball flight when you're out there as well. So you're troubleshooting on the course.
Every one of these matters. What are you going to do with your next shot? It's the next shot that is where you're affecting the change with feedback from the previous shot. So are you using every golf shot to get better, or are you just trying to repeat the same thing in the hope that you're going to get some kind of repetitiveness to the shot, when actually if the balls are doing this and you're doing the same thing, maybe this kind of approach might just help you explore and get some feel so you can actually start to control that ball flight. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks Sam, that was
Thank you very
awesome.
much.
You're all equipped now, you've got the toolkit to start troubleshooting. Drop your comments below guys, let us know how you get on. Questions you've got, don't hesitate to ask, and let us know how you practice. Let us know how you're integrating this into your practice and what effect it's had. And are you exploring enough in your practice? But there's going to be more to come on this in future videos. So thanks a lot guys, and enjoy your troubleshooting. If you love the coaching, but you're not able to get a lesson and want to experience the transformation for yourself, the closest thing you can do to get a lesson is buy a Zen GRF Infinity training system and experience the same things that you're seeing my pupils go through in a lesson, and a 2-hour download of all the exercises that enable my pupils to tap into those forces and find their most natural, efficient golf swing.